And often what parents try to do is what Dr. Shobha is saying. They'll reason, see, you're good in so many other things. Why do you have to be worried? Look at this other child, can't even do this. We are very happy with you. Yeah. But the agony for the child is that she's having difficult feelings. Feelings of inadequacy, feelings of worry, right? And those feelings...
And why does that come? Why? What could be...
There could be different reasons. There could be different reasons why they come at a particular point in a child's life, right? But often what we find therapeutic is to accept those feelings and help the child accept those feelings. And very often, when that is done consistently by people who are important to the child, then the child learns that yes, once in a while I will feel like this, but I can manage it.
So consistency in sending that message is a key.
Right. I'm not saying all children who come with this will get only with this, but I'm saying it's an important part. Because very often when a parent sees a child struggling like that, it sets off difficult feelings for them also. They also start getting very worried. Sometimes they may get angry that what else do you need? And it starts setting off a difficult cycle of emotions. But if within the family, within their existing support, they are coached or guided to down-regulate these emotions, that could be one way of doing it, rather than only reasoning with the child when that's not where the difficulty is coming from.
And there's another form of therapy also, which is sometimes used, that's called cognitive behavior therapy. That is, the work is to see that how you're thinking may be faulty, how the way you're thinking can be changed by a series of exercises that you come to check it, you come to confront it, you come to negate it, you come to question it, and you ask for proof, and you find you no proof. So there are different methods by which one can work on children to make them see that something that they are thinking may not be the right way. But there are many, many ways of working with such children.
Sometimes we hear as we grow older, I really didn't want to do this, but my parent wanted me to do it. And so I became a doctor, so I became this, so I became something else. So is that a real issue? And is it kind of for the Indian society, or is it more global issue? What's the thought on that?
I think the need for autonomy is a very basic human need. Wanting to do what one wants is a very, very basic human need, whichever culture you go to. Of course, different cultures have different degrees of tolerance for it when it comes from children. However, over the past few decades, I think families have been much more sensitive in the Indian context to children's needs and desires, and to see how best they can support children in pursuing their needs and desires. We do still see some families who have their own set ideas for their children, and that may be a cause of turmoil for that given child. So there are those. And like Dr. Shobha was mentioning, there are so many causes. This parent who's so rigid on this particular idea for this child will have a story behind them.
Yes,
their own growing up, their own ambitions.
Exactly, their own ambitions which are there. Yeah.
So it's not that
Clearly, right?
you're a bad parent.
No, you're meaning well, but you're not from the point of view of the child. Directly, I suppose.
And there are more and more people now who change their lives. They start with something and they change their lives. So it will happen that there will be people who will understand that for their well-being, I better do what I want.
Right.
Yeah. So.
I'm suddenly remembering an author, Varun Agarwal, who wrote a book called How I Bred Auntie and co-founded a $1 million company. His mother wanted him to study engineering. He said, okay, I'll do it for you.
Yes.
Next day, after finishing engineering, he didn't take any job, and then he went and filmmaking.
Yes. So many have done that.
I'm an engineer and
exactly, right? So in summary now, we have these issues. We have schools, we have home environments, we have the general societal environments. So and with all the things that we've discussed, it's difficult to be a counselor, whether it's in school, whether it's in this thing, to try and understand and bring some structure to the child and ensure that their mental faculties are protected in some sense. So are we seeing more of this recognition in schools now when you deal with, and are they trained to really handle this type of thing? Because the schools also have their own agendas. They have their own focus as well. So are we seeing, should we do more on this? What do you think? You're smiling.
No, resounding yes.
Resounding yes.
Yeah.
So what can we do on that?
Maybe we need to do more by doing less. What I mean is, rather than splitting hairs and saying you do this and you do this and you do this, it would be important for a school system to come together and identify what are their goals, how can they work towards it in a cohesive fashion. I also was smiling because every time I've spoken to teachers, initially they are very wary of what I'm going to say. Is she going to ask me to do more?
Yes.
I cannot do more.
You can't do more, yeah.
I'm already doing more than what I can. Right? I am very stressed. And when we speak about how it's important for teachers to take care of themselves and they need to relax and they need to reduce their stress, they're very happy. Nobody can care for another person with a stressed brain.
Yes.
And all of us, all our brains are very, very stressed, much above tolerable limits on a regular basis.
Right.
And therefore, we need to be very careful when we say, what more can we do? What more can we do by doing less? How can we put in a system where there are few things, but we do that consistently?
Correct.
Rather than doing many things.
Yeah.
So what could we do? Could a class teacher every once in a week sit with the class and say, how's this week been? What have you been doing? Okay. Can we play a game together? Now, these are things that reduce the stress of everybody's brain. The motivation to work together increases. The trust to come back and share, I'm going through this, would you please help me, increases. Right? So, and this is very connected. Often it is seen as leisure or play or not serious work.
Extracurricular.
Right? But that is integral to the well-being of any system. You can check any family that plays together is often much more productive, has fewer problems, is able to sort things out as and when they happen. Right. Similarly with school. So we need that balance. It's not about just fixing problems. It's about building relationships. It's about building circles of trust. And how you can do that over a period of time. I mean, that's my take on it.
I think I fully agree, because why would a child want to listen to a teacher? The child will listen to a teacher only in the context of a good relationship. If somebody is walking on the road and somebody gives me advice, I'm not going to take that advice. I don't know who he is. But if my teacher gives that advice, and I have a relationship with my teacher. So the important, I think, message is attachment relationships. In that context, almost anything can be done.
Right.
And the lack of it is
I have a question here, sorry. So when we ask, okay, so you study this, then only you get good marks. We are telling, so they reciprocate. The same way, if I do this, can you take me to the skating class? How will we react to this?
Transaction.
How do we do this now?
I have a question. We have a question.
So what we do, we can go to that. Yeah, we go to that stuff. What we do is, I think there's one more point which I think is a hot topic today, and we'll kind of go to that, which is the lifestyle-induced issues, and then we can wrap it up with some question and answers pretty quick. So I think there are a couple of art pieces, one by PB again on selfies. The selfies, okay, which obviously is causing its own set of issues with everybody, irrespective of the generation, but certainly in the adolescent generation, I think there is a lot on that. And there are a couple of other art pieces by Sharmila, which we will touch upon. I think some of which we've discussed in terms of metamorphosis and how things in different stages impact the overall person that comes out of it, like a butterfly. So I think we can talk about that aspect of it. So this is the metamorphosis one, right, Sharmila?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So right from the childhood to adulthood, the mental and physical metamorphosis. Actually, just like they say, the outcome is beautiful, but the journey is painful. So actually, it is a lot of things that would be happening in the mental, psychological, emotional, physical self that go unnoticed and unacknowledged. So the painful journey that she is undertaking with very fragile network of things around her to protect or to be secure, and finally grows up into a certain beautiful human being ultimately. But then the process has so many external, internal factors. So that's what I try to depict in this.
Right.
Yeah. And we go to the next one.
Yeah, the next one. Yeah, this one is, of course, again, an extension of the thing about the bulimia, anorexia disorders that crop up due to body shaming, and nowadays all present media saying that you have to be fair looking, you have to have a zero size body and whatnot to be considered as a beauty in a proper sense. They don't go beyond the body to look into a beauty of a person. So to what extent that one would go to present oneself as beautiful. See, as it is, it looks like a very beautiful lady, but then she's shrinking below her, slowly fading away, and then you can see her bones showing and slowly, and though she has food in her hand, she's not interested, she's looking away because she wants to be something else. And so those things I got on our work here.
And the next one, I think, same one?
Yeah, then the next one is on the bipolar.
No, not that.
The selfie is
Okay, go back. Can you go back? Yeah.
So this one, of course, the idea happened because of seeing a lot of news every day. There's some death happened. They're trying for the best picture in front of best monument and things like that. There are news about. I've seen pictures, people taking selfie in front of dead bodies, in front of accident scenes, in front of. It's more like the phone. Maybe technology gave that freedom. Otherwise, camera was not given to everybody. So when we started photographing, we always shoot something called self-portraits. We set up the camera, we set the right angle, we go in front of them, things like that. But now it just happens in fraction of seconds. So what I thought was I go and shoot, being a heritage photographer, being documenting. So I said monumental selfies, where the monumental thing happened in quotes. And I went and shot the places. So I also took a lot of risk. I mean, you have to get this kind of light before sunrise. I had to go early morning, 5 o'clock, before the sunrise happens. For example, the second picture on top, it's a very important place in Bangalore. Recently in news, it's the Great Trigonometric Survey, the first tower which is built in Bangalore which went on to become the mapping project for the whole of India. Right? I went in the morning and I was thinking, is it like safe? I took some risk to get some pictures. Right. So I saying the selfie, the self-taste, the word that happened, and it was a mental disorder. It is like I think the researchers says it is also a mental disorder. So maybe I'll leave it to the experts to speak.
I saw the one where you were standing in front of a truck which was coming.
Yes, train and everything. People are dying.
No, but yeah, I think so. I think clearly the smartphone has had tremendous impact and is continuing to do a lot of good, but also seems like a lot of damage to the minds of adolescents, children, and adults alike. But definitely adolescents. So what's the what are you seeing here in terms of afflictions because of addictions to the smartphone?
No, before they're saying maybe it is also not just taking a picture, it's also showcasing into the media, social media,
yes,
the right posture, the same kind of expression, the kind of right angle.
Yeah, that anorexia, the body that is there, that is what needs. So now you can take whatever your shape is, you can convert that and automatically and send it out, right? So it's all you're leading two lives, and very comfortably leading two lives.
Correct.
So.
Yes, you want to start off? I can only say that there is enough evidence now to say that with young children, the presence and the use of a lot of screen time comes in the way of speech and language development, comes in the way of social interaction, comes in the way of being able to communicate adequately. So definitely it comes in the way of development. So
The way we know it, the way we want it.
the way we want it. So what should a child say below 2 years? There should practically be no screen time. If at all there is screen time, it would be, for example, talking on Skype or on FaceTime to grandmother or grandfather who are living in America, for example, and then the child talks and has fun. But the dictum is whenever the child is in front of a medium, there must be an adult with the child. It's not that you leave it with the child and you go. So that's okay for this kind of an activity. But otherwise, in terms of gaining knowledge and being able to learn something quickly, yes, it has its role. But then it has a limited role, and that it shall not be allowed in the child's bedroom. It shall not be allowed unsupervised. Definitely, it's a big no-no. But it is clear to us that when they come with the young children, it is a parental issue. It is the parents with whom you have to work.
What about teenagers?
So,
I mean, my teenager used to be under the bed, under the thing, at 3 in the morning.
So one of our issues is it maybe starts, it's like a habit, and then it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can think that nothing will work unless I am in touch with that. So most of the time what we advise is we look at who is the attachment relationship with that child, who's in an attachment relationship with that adolescent. You will find that by and large, most parents have given up their children to their peers. They've given it up. Not that you wanted to give, they went off. They went off, and now for them, the peer is the most important group of people. Somewhere you have to reclaim them to yourself. You have to reclaim that youngster. How do you reclaim that youngster? So that you have to literally woo that youngster onto you. And why will the youngster come to you when they have got so many more interesting things to do? Which means that the parent actually has to plot and plan and do things. Like one parent told me, I actually plotted to take my youngster to a overnight trip that he has always been talking about. And the condition was he and I won't take the mobiles. And then mommy will give us one of the non-smartphone mobiles. Yes. And that is just to say, I am safe, are you safe? Otherwise, we'll do that. And they had such fun, it seems, on that thing together, that not that it habit went off, but the child saw the father as somebody with whom I could have some activity. So that's the relationship you start. You have to woo them back, because setting limits, setting that, I will take it off, I will do that.
Is that a mental health issue? That's my point. Is this a mental health issue that they're on their smartphones a lot longer than we think they should be? They claim that they will be doing all the right things. We are on, we're learning something, or we are sharing some important information, or we're doing some homework together. So how do you know that it has become an addiction? I mean, if you're smoking, I can make out. If you're drinking, I can make out. How do you know this is an addiction?
And one of the first things to acknowledge is these are addictive patterns. They are designed to be addictive.
Yes.
So that is something that we acknowledge and talk about in families.
Okay.
That it is not about you, it is about this.
Yeah.
If I were to do this, I will also be addicted.
Yes.
So that is one thing.
Yeah.
That is one thing. And the second thing is to have some agreements right from the beginning. Like, for example, not letting the child take the phone to bed. Now, that doesn't happen in many families. The child sleeps with it, wakes up with it, right? So, and then the question of monitoring and what you do, and that becomes irrelevant, isn't it? So there are
It's impossible to monitor, right? It's very, very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So I think
when it's an addiction, NIMHANS has a clinic.
Yes,
meant exclusively for this kind of behavior. Everybody sees these kind of things, but there is a clinic which is meant only for this kind of behavior. So it's treated as an addiction.
Well, so if they're watching pornography on phone all the time, that becomes an addiction. Okay, and there is a treatment to it. But if they're using their phone,
even that, if that's the first thing they want in the morning.
That's the difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that's the first thing they want in the morning, they cannot stay away from it even for a few minutes. They have to constantly keep checking it.
That sounds like me. No, just kidding.
Many of us are, many adults are.
Yeah.
And if it is part of the central conversation in many aspects, it gains importance over other things. Right? So there are many ways in which one can look at and like.
But this seems to be common. This pattern of behavior seems to be quite common because that's what it does.
See, there are problems.
Right? So,
it's a problem behavior.
Yeah.
Then it becomes an addiction. It starts off being a problem, and then it's the extent of the problem. If they are not doing what they ought to be doing and doing only this problem.
And we cannot dictate rules to children that we don't follow as adults.
Yes.
I take my phone to bed and I ask my son not to do it. There is no way he's going. The first question is, you are taking, then why are you asking me?
Yeah, we should also be under the thing and texting them. You know?
When ma'am was telling about parental interaction with the child, a healthy interaction that, even with the dad and they had some interaction healthy. So I noticed in some cases, like, there are some kids with issues, like, that they fall into that spectrum. But there are very normal kids, because of the parental over-pampering, I've seen they are going in very dull stage. I'm not mentioning, but I've seen it real case. 2 years back, I saw the child has not developed at all. For everything, for even eating, he needs some support. And for the reason, I think, is the parenting. Wrong parenting. If the child is falling, getting bruised, they'll go, oh, Baba, and all those things. And they make the child feel like, they are not worthy of anything. But whereas in skating, I think sports can help. Any sport.
Definitely.
When most of the coaches go, me for sure, if the child is falling, okay, stand up, you can do it yourself. That thing is not coming from the parents and the normal so-called kids I'm talking about. Instead, they'll go, and my child is, I'm capable, I'm worthy, I'm rich enough to give all the things to my child. But by doing this, they are just, making the child dull and not making them rough and tough to face the life. This is one thing when ma'am said about, that there can be a very good interaction with the child and parents, rather than supporting them for every this thing.
I mean, what we got, we didn't have a want or a need for the love most part, but our children have even less of that because everything is provided for. And we don't want them to get hurt. We want to protect them from everything. So these are all, I think, specific issues. But coming to the other thing of eating disorders, would that be also considered as a mental disorder? And if so, what are the things to look out for on that? What should parents look out for? What should friends look out for? And is it more, because it's more happens in the 16, 17, 18 age group then, so it's more friends as well. It's not just parents who...
There are eating disorders, and then there are clear-cut disorders called anorexia and bulimia.
Yes.
There are certain criteria that has to be fulfilled, but lots and lots of people can have just eating disorders, not specified, but there are some disorders of eating. So the issue is that the amount of food you take, the kind of weight you want to keep, the idea that you want to have a particular body size, and that even if you are that, you believe that you're not that and you want to achieve that, and you do things that make you either vomit or purge or do some things to maintain what you think is the right weight, and you're actually going significantly low in weight, to some percentage, 15% and things like that. So if that happens, then that is a disorder of a kind. So if there are children who seem to have this, parents, teachers, friends can all recognize this, because this is easily seen. And some of them, in terms of morbidity and mortality, it can be quite serious. In the most significant cases.
And even as they grow older, even if they come out of it, if it has gone on for long enough, then as they grow older, they have other issues as well, like bone related and those kind of things.
So it is not easily recognized, not easily accepted by the person who has it, and therefore sometimes can be a big battle in treatment, between the adolescent and the family in terms of, and there is no one medicine which will kind of settle the whole matter.
There's no medicine.
No, there's no one medicine. So a lot of work goes on with the family, as family work, as individual work, in order to set this right.
Is that triggered by self-worth issues?
That is also a key issue, but it can happen due to various other things as well.
Okay.
Sometimes bullying, sometimes family conflicts. Self-worth is one issue,
Right.
but there could be. I think that's the point that Dr. Shobha has been making regularly, that we don't have a single cause.
There's no one.
There are many aspects that come together.
Great. So I think we're going to go into some sessions, a couple of sessions. So one is, those of you who are watching, I hope you found whatever has been spoken about so far to be quite fascinating. I did. And now, if you have questions, please feel free to send it across, and we'll try and address a few along with the experts and the artists. At the same time, I also want to spend some time talking about art and the aspects of mental health and how art and mental health can go hand in hand in making the society better, making the individual better. So as mental health specialists, where are your interactions with art? And what are do you have any one or two stories that you want to share with us where it has been really, really helpful?
I mean, there's just no doubt that art has a big role to play. Art of any form, dancing, music, drama, painting, drawing, you just name it, it works. It's to be seen as another language. It's a language to communicate. And I think children would love to do it that way. And many children are anxious when you make eye contact and try and get them to talk. So the eye contact itself is very worrying. But if both of us are looking at a piece of paper and one is drawing and the other one is drawing, through the paper and through what's happening, I can get the child to open up a great deal more than like interrogating the child in that fashion. So I think art has a great ability for assessment. It has great therapeutic value and great enhancing value for the child also. So I think there's no end to it, seminar by itself. And I think it's something to be used. People must feel comfortable using art because children work well with art. Most children work well with colors and art. So we expect all clinicians to have in their bags and pockets and rooms enough art material to work with young people. And even adolescents will show you on paper where they sit in the class and where the bully sits and where what happens.
A lot of expression happens just through their doodling, which comes out that I've seen, right? I mean, so what's your, do you interact with artists or do you have patients who are also artists in their families, and have you seen any stories for us on how that has been helpful?
Well, there are many children who have been interested in art, in music. And like Dr. Shobha is saying, it is an integral part of our work. And oftentimes just leaving some material on the table is helpful. Because as and when they need it, they draw on it and work with it. And I've had adolescents share how it's such a powerful thing for them just to have a ball of clay in their hand, or to be able to draw and paint while they are talking, where they feel that the art is helping them process what they are talking. So there are many, many examples of that.
There's a question. Given online schooling.
Yeah, so Rashmi has given online schooling over the last year, and from what it looks like it's going to continue. Is there an acceptable limit of on-screen time now?
One more question also on top. Somebody is asking about neuroscience.
That's like
interest in neuroscience. Yeah, I guess as a career option, that's another thing that we can talk about as well. Yeah. So
one question for Vincent also. We can just see that question and then you can. Madam, can you scroll up a little bit? Critical thinkers and problem solvers, maybe
that's like Yeah, it's a general.
We can just discuss that because the question came and they did not think that we didn't answer.
Yeah, so I think the key thing is today everything is online. So it comes back to our question about where is the limit, where is the line for online? That's the person.
I don't think we have ready answers yet
Isn't it?
to that. We're creating a bigger and
You have a young boy who's
Of
there,
course.
who's sitting on that bed.
yes. So it's quite hard to keep track of how much screen a child is getting, particularly when classes are also happening online. What one can encourage is enough movement in between, that their body is not getting into a stagnant state. That is something. And then have enough breaks. So they are having few hours of online classes. Then there could be some physical activity, something else that they do before they get to play on the screen again for a little bit. So at least those sorts of things, if a parent could look at, but it is challenging. With both parents working, sometimes they're not around physically at the home. So
we need a better societal structure for this, doesn't it? Isn't there some support structure which enables children to be taken out safely to go and have a game of whatever, cricket or football or whatever?
Maybe not contact sports, but how you hit the ball and somebody running somewhere far away, that's all right.
In COVID times, I guess.
That's what
COVID time, the support staff, we don't have.
That's
who could drive somebody to a place or be a nanny.
My mother told me I have a new vocabulary now. My child says academic online and non-academic online. So she wants academic online, she'll sit. Then mother must give time to play games on non-academic play.
Extra
so now they've divided the timetable into. So mother is saying now there is indoor sports and outdoor sports. So she's divided that you must do here also some activity and there also some activity. So she said, but to do this, I have to take time off. I must plan. I must get up 1 hour beforehand to stick the table on the top saying what's the activity for today. I have to plan the activity. So she sits and makes worksheets for drawing.
In addition to the breakfast and lunch and dinner plans. One more plan.
So it's very, very tough.
So we are going through the same problem. I have a second grade, my daughter. So she has only 2 classes. Luckily, we have only 2 classes and that generally gets over by 11 o'clock. And then we don't have any special device for her. The same laptop that we have, we finish and then go.
Any other questions?
Only at 3 p.m. we give that whatever half an hour for screen time for her for some game, whatever. That means we are lucky.
But you all are available to play.
Yeah, available to play with her.
Don't forget, that's the most important thing because you're competing.
I think we are done pretty much.
I happened to talk to some of my parents. They had certain doubts about certain things. Probably you guys can comment on that. One is like that self-hurting mindset, who is in the spectrum, the child is in the spectrum. When from the society a no is, or maybe the caregivers, no, don't do it. And he starts, hitting others or hitting himself. And how to manage this, how to?
No simple answer.
Okay.
They have to get in for an evaluation. Somebody has to understand the reason for this, the kind of lifestyle the child has, the kind of activities the child has, maybe observe some interactions, and then come up with a plan of how to. So it's not just how to stop beating. It will be how to improve the quality of the life of the child all along, so that this act automatically should follow it, rather than just targeting don't hit yourself, don't hit yourself. Okay. So it takes time and it requires.
Another thing is one of those guys is a very close friend of mine, the whole family. So whenever we go out with something, he takes the glasses and throw it with a smile, and he wanted to see it splashing. And it is quite embarrassing. Yeah. It's not first 1-2 times. In front of me, it's 3-4 times it happened. So I think, what is your take? I was telling that I had a small discussion with the parent. I said, probably you should say that rather than saying, don't do it, next time when you want to break a glass, let me know. We'll do it together. That, I don't know, what is the thing you will say about it? But no, they were quite kind of worried about that. It's in the public, it happens. So what else we can do? I know it's not one.
Has to be going to some kind of a
one would need to see what is the child getting out of it.
He is happy, probably seeing it splashing.
Right. No, and sometimes it's the sound, sometimes it's the glass, the spreading.
Yeah.
There may be different things that
He's
the
a good
child.
artist too, actually.
Autistic.
I would say. But then,
And it's the attention.
Yes, the
Yeah.
attention that
Yeah.
children get.
but often people shout, no.
That is also attention.
But that's what.
That is also attention.
Oh.
It's not the
Okay.
positive, the negative attention.
So, okay. So there are ways, consulting
Yes.
experts like you, they have some ways you will study and
We will work with them to try out some experiments. We don't have ready solutions
Yes,
to say you do this.
you need
and
to
tomorrow-
learn the child and come
Yes,
out.
yes.
So Sharmila, from your side, from artist side, do you think you can do more with this in supporting, helping?
Yes, as artists, one of the responsibilities we carry on our shoulder is to bring to the focus some small things that might be hiding away from the public eye, or being ignored, or being trivialized, or taken it in for granted. So, as an artist and also as a parent, I have two boys and 24 and 19. So I've seen them through their childhood and adolescent. Only two things I would like to say as an art. One is an artist is this thing. There's something that I would like to own up to the society also, along with being a parent and raising two boys who will be worthy of something for the world they live in. But as an artist, I would like to speak, make people speak by looking at my images, kindle their attention and thinking process. So that is one responsibility I
In
have
fact,
carried.
the mentality itself happened because of that idea.
Yes.
We
All our
discussed
shows have
we
been
never thought we were going to come to NIMHANS and able to do this conversation.
Absolutely.
And
I never thought this.
As a parent, I would definitely like to say two things. That is, one, the most precious gift ever you can give your child is your time. And the second thing is, look is not enough. Observe. When they are little children and adolescents. So if you have the time, you will observe. So they are linked. linked. And the child is also an individual. Right from the day he is born. He is born with his likes, dislikes, nature, behavior, everything. And there is no normal behavior, abnormal behavior. It is behavior. So these things I observed, and I'm happy parent. I have learned a lot because of the boys. So that's one thing.
So on that note, Sharmila, Phoebe, Dr. Nithya, Vincent, Dr. Shobha, thank you so much for your time. It has been a wonderful session of discussion. Learned a lot, and I hope all of you and all of you there as well have a lot of takeaways from that. Thank you for being with us. And as I said, this is going to be, there are going to be two more of these sessions, one on the 20th and one on the 27th, the 2 Saturdays. One will focus on young adult and adult mental health, and the other one will be on well-being.
Mental well-being.
Mental well-being. So, so be with us on that. Thank you once again.
We would like to also thank NIMHANS for giving us the opportunity, and Dr. Pratima Murthy, who has been the spine of all these talks. And,
thank you so much.
And thanks
that.
to Hari for volunteering.
Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
We create the chance.